We are witnessing history being made right now, right here. This is Tesla Optimus bot working autonomously, and Elon Musk, I will show you later, has confirmed that no human is doing anything to this bot right now. It is functioning completely autonomously, and as you can see, it is completing this task that a human would do, and there's no human actually doing it. It's the bot doing it. It has precise movements, and of course, there's no room for error, relatively speaking, but it's actually able to do it. And you will see in a moment, it actually corrects. It made a mistake, and then it corrects itself. This is mind-blowing, what we are seeing here. And this is how they were able to make it work autonomously. This is how they trained the bot. But the bot that you saw actually was working autonomously. Elon Musk did confirm that. And it's a bit slow still, yes, but it will get faster, and it is able to walk autonomously. I don't see any cables. I don't see any support here. And yet it's taking these relatively long walks, and it's only going to get better. And of course, it's powered by Tesla's FSD computer. And as Tesla's vehicles get better, so will the Tesla bot, because it's FSD software. And if you like what you're seeing, click the like button. And going forward, I will only post full daily news videos on this channel, so subscribe if you haven't yet. Otherwise, YouTube is likely not going to show you these videos anymore if you're not subscribed. A Tesla bot engineer says, over the past couple of months, our awesome manufacturing team has built more bots for us to work on and collect AI data from. So the progress is being accelerated. We have trained and deployed a neural net allowing Optimus to start doing useful tasks such as picking up battery cells, coming down a conveyor, and precisely inserting them into a tray. And he confirms that this neural net is running entirely end-to-end, meaning that it only consumes video coming from the bot's 2D cameras, as well as on board proprioceptive sensors, and produces, joins, controls sequences directly. And here's a big one, pay attention now. It runs entirely on the bot's embedded FSD computer. In other words, when Tesla makes progress with FSD, the bot gets better. Now, how many humanoid robot companies do you know that also have, 6 million vehicles deployed that have basically full self-driving computers collecting data out there right now to make FSD better? Powered by the onboard battery, it is designed such that a single neural net can perform multiple tasks as we add more diverse data to the training process. While not being perfect yet, and still a little slow, we're seeing increasingly high success rates with less frequent misses. And the thing is, with FSD, you basically cannot make any mistakes, but if a bot works at a factory, mistakes are fine. No one dies if a bot drops a battery. And even if a bot sticks its hand into some machine and loses its hand, no big deal either. We're also training Optimus to recover from failure cases, and we are seeing spontaneous corrections happen. We've deployed a couple bots at one of our factories where they're being tested daily at the real workstations and continuously improving. And as we saw, Optimus also now regularly takes long walks across the office without falling. Further work is ongoing to make it move faster, as well as dealing with more adverse terrains, all without sacrificing the human-like nature of it. We're also focusing on repeatability across the fleet, training the neural net to deal with dynamic calibration and small bot-to-bot variants. And more updates soon, he says. Now, what are the constraints that are limiting bots' progress? AJ thinks it's data, and data. But then what's preventing all 100,000 Tesla employees from wearing cameras and sensors at work? I think this makes sense. You basically need a bot and a person. So a person operating the bot like this to gather data. So you also need a lot of bots. And I think maybe Tesla is still validating their concepts. If indeed it is data that is being the constraint, I think we are about to see thousands of bots made and thousands of people people training these bots. And Elon says that the new Optimus hand later this year will have 22 degrees of freedom, which is really impressive. Tesla's making progress and is making it fast. And here's Elon confirming that there's no human in the loop anywhere. Elon also says the actuators will move almost entirely into the forearm, just like how humans work. Omar pointed out something really bullish for Tesla stock investors. Warren Buffett just talked about FSD at Berkshire annual meeting. Probably, perhaps, lots of investors there will be interested in researching more about what it's all about. Buffett pointed out that if Tesla reduces car accident rate by 50% via FSD, which by the way is inevitable, it's going to be bad for insurance companies. Although on the flip side, you could also possibly make an argument that for some period of time, the people might be driving so much more than before because, you know, right now, if you want to go someplace, if you don't have that much money, maybe you're going to get on the bus. Or for example, I sometimes want to go to Stanley Park here in Vancouver, but it's 4 p.m., 5 p.m., it's rush hour, it's terrible getting there. No way I'm doing that during rush hour, but if I can call a robot taxi at the same time, if I can do some work while on my way there, now that's a different story. So for example, if FSD was 4 times safer than human driving, but people were driving 4 times more, just on theoretical numbers, the number of accidents would be exactly the same. But I personally think once FSD is safer than human driving, progress will still continue really fast because so many people will be using FSD and there's going to be so much more data, and we can see how much compute Tesla has, and it's insane. So yes, when Tesla solves FSD, inevitably there will be a lot less accidents. Oh, Elon is making more predictions or more promises. Actually, Smart Summon and Banish Auto Park with no one in the car is coming soon. Big Tesla fan Gregor Truck points out, though, you said actually Smart Summon last month. What's up, dude? I'm assuming that it's likely to be included in FSD v12.4. Farzad points out the obvious, that it's only going to take 2 weeks, which is something that we as investors don't really want to hear about, because 2 weeks often means a lot longer than 2 weeks. Not quite 2 years, but it's a lot longer than 2 weeks. And we are seeing some massively good news with the latest FSD version. I saw a few mixed experiences with the latest FSD point release, but looking at the actual data, I think this is more important than what one single person experiences. And James says, in my opinion, this chart is more impressive. V12.3.6, which is the version I don't have yet, I have 0.5, has taken a dramatic turn for the better, it seems. There should be more people adding data to the tracker. You can see right here, miles to critical disengagements in the city, and you can see 12.3.4 was right here, but the latest version is significantly better. We went from about 150 miles per critical disengagement to now over 300 miles. Now, it's not a crazy amount of data. 177 people report the data in the tracker, but it's the best data we have so far, I think. And there's someone saying that this latest version of FSD is much better for him. Many more no intervention drives. Someone is being incredibly skeptical about this chart. Very few people add data there. Most of the data comes from California, and total miles driven is just under 2,000. It's not statistically significant. You can see pretty much everything you need to see here, how much data and all of that. Now, 2,000 miles, that's fairly significant. Now, the most important thing is, let's say this approach is flawed, and of course it is. But when you compare a flawed approach to its previous points, and if there's a major jump, and if that jump continues, clearly there's progress made, because that flawed approach will have the same flaws in all of the previous data as well. And look, you might say there's a lot of data from California, and yes, 1,000 miles is a lot of data from California alone, but that's only half of all of the data. So there are over 1,000 miles outside of California that's considered in this data set. But of course, I agree with Omar 100% on this. There's nothing to see here. You should move along. Just like there was nothing to see in early 2019 when I became a Tesla stock investor. And by nothing to see, I mean for those that are legally blind. In the meantime, Waymo.
What the?
That's a reaction that many people are having about this. Now, I personally, I think with FSD deployment, you will have weird things like this happen, but at least no one was hurt and it looks fairly controlled, but later it did accelerate quite fast and it's going, I mean, I think this is just a one-way road. Is there, yeah, it's just one way, at least on this side. I think on that side further out there is traffic perhaps going in the other direction, but I'm not sure. I would assume that this lane is sort of like a middle lane between two traffic directions. But the real question is, why isn't Dan O'Dowd complaining about this software? It's almost like he knows that Tesla is way more likely to solve autonomy unlike Waymo in a way that will actually scale and be deployed to the masses, and therefore is going to hurt his business. And I think he's right. Ross Gerber says robotaxi will be a highly competitive business with much lower profits than what people think. Transportation is becoming a commodity. He's referring to Waymo, saying that in the coming weeks we will begin testing fully autonomous rides without a human driver for our employees on San Francisco Peninsula. But Waymo's cost per mile is really high, and they need HT maps, and one thing changes on the roads and the whole system breaks. But Tesla's robotaxi cost per mile will be extremely low. Warren estimates less than 20 cents or maybe even 10 cents. So if one company's robotaxi costs well over 100,000 to make and deploy, and Tesla's robotaxi costs under 20,000, how do you think this is going to end?